Hello and welcome to the Bucketlister Podcast. Join your host Keith Crockford along with special guests who have travelled the world, here to share stories of their adventures and plenty of inspo to add to your bucket list. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Bucketlister Podcast. I am your host Keith and today I am back chatting with my colleague Jake. So hello Jake.
Hi Keith.
So today we're going to do a really quick podcast episode and discuss the topic of, do you need a guide to do Everest Base Camp? Now, if somebody had asked me that question a week ago, and they went on our website a week ago, the answer would have been, no, you don't need a guide to do Everest Base Camp. But that's changed, Jake, isn't it?
It has changed. And yeah, I do remember speaking about this with you in one of the other podcasts, and we were debating, group travel and going on your own and having a guide actually got discussed within that about whether you should go with a guide. And obviously we provided options for the fact that you could go trekking in Nepal completely solo, and then perhaps why you wouldn't necessarily want to, but yeah, that's all changed now.
So as of April the 1st 2023, you can now no longer go trekking in Nepal without either a local guide or a porter with you. So the Nepalese government have introduced new regulations in the national park. So it's not just for Everest Base Camp, it's for the Annapurna region. It's also for anywhere in the Khumbu where you're walking through a national park gate where you need a permit. You are now going to have to go with a guide. Now, what are your thoughts on that originally, Jake?
Well, I suppose I'm in two minds about it, really. Overwhelmingly, I did think it was a good thing. So my overall view was that I was fully on board with that. Mainly because that's something that we've always done. We've always used guides. We've always, we are a guiding company. So it is something that we clearly believe in for lots of different reasons. There's a bit of assurance that you're going to get to, all of the places that you want to. There's a bit of safety. But also I think that by using local guides and going with anybody like that, you're just going to learn so much more. You're going to see so much more. You're going to get to experience the country through the eyes of a local. And when you trek on your own, although you'll make those connections along the way, you might just miss out on a couple of things that, forgivably, you wouldn't know were there.
Yeah, I think, let's make this clear. You don't need to book. We'd love you to book with the Bucket List Company. You don't need to book with an English provider. You can still make your way out to Nepal and find yourself a local trekking company over there to go with. Obviously, the chances are you're going to land in Kathmandu, you're going to head to Thamel, and you're going to be bombarded with all of I'd hate to think how many hundreds of different trekking companies there are in Thamel.
Well, we get it even now all the time. You and I will be walking through Kathmandu. We'll take a walk out from our hotel, and even now we'll get people coming up to us as we're walking through the streets asking if we want a trekking guide to go to Everest or to go to Island Peak or whatever it is. And we'll play along with it for a little bit, and then when we tell them that we are trekking guides, then they quickly disappear. but yeah, we do.
I always find it really funny how they know whether you've been trekking or not, because when you first land in Kathmandu, you get, do you want a trek? Do you want some activities? When you get back from your trek and you are walking through Kathmandu, you then get offered massages. So they seem to really understand really quickly those people who have, whether it's the suntan, whether it's the way you're walking, I'm not sure, but they certainly do know very quickly who's done what. So, you can go out, you can choose a trekking company to go with when you get out there. You can find one. But how do you choose one? How do you go out there and go, well, I'm going to go with you guys? You've got no idea who you're going with. We've already been, on all of our trips, we've been through that painful process of using different providers and then finding the one that we use now that we're super happy with, and we use the same one over and over and over again. We've almost taken that challenge out for people, really, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%. And there is such a thing as having too much choice. You know, when you're out there, you have so much choice. But until you get out there, it's really difficult looking from the UK or wherever you might be, trying to get a sense of what it's like and looking into all of these different providers and what they're offering. And, you know, actually, until you get out there, you don't really know how much 10 rupees is going to get you, or 1,000 rupees. Like, it doesn't really make sense. So you can either put that off until you get into country and hope that you find somebody, or hope that you find somebody who's going to do the good job, or you take a punt. But it can be a really difficult process. And, you know, I think we have done pretty well. There wasn't too much of a trial and error phase for us. We, you know, did a bit of research, and we were, you know, we did try a couple of different groups, but yeah, who we've got now, we know that they're reliable, not only when it all goes really, really well, but also they've been tested when things might not have gone so well, and they're reliable.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing as well is, you know, walking with a group of other people sometimes is actually quite nice when you're on a long trek. You know, we're lucky that our local guides in Nepal all speak very, very good English. You know, we can communicate with them. They can communicate with us. Like, we laugh, we joke, we have banter with them. They have banter with us. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you see people, you know, I've met people in tea houses on the trail who, you know, they kind of get taken to the tea house that evening. They don't then see their guide then again until the following morning. And then they're just by themselves for the whole time that they're in the tea house to sort themselves out. And, you know, with group travel and going away with the group, you don't get that element either, do you?
No, I think you get the option. I'm always a big fan of having a few options to choose from. And I think when you go traveling with a group, one of the advantages is if you do fancy sitting around and playing cards with people, chatting, socializing, you know, even running questions by people of, what are you taking in your day pack today? Or what are you doing? You know, you've got that option. You also have the option of, if you want to remove yourself and go and get a bit more rest, if you just fancy having a quiet half an hour, you can do that. But the choice is yours.
But I also think as well that, you know, there are some Nepalese guides out there who are brilliant guides, but their English is not the best either. And if you're on a one-to-one with them for 13 days, you know, that could be a little bit of a struggle as well, I think.
It can be, yeah. I mean, they are lovely and they do make an effort, but I suppose how many times do you want to go, hello, how are you? And then that's the end of your conversation for another couple of hours until it's hello, how are you again? But yeah, that's what I say. We go through and we have a look, and all of our guides speak English. All of our guides, you know, have worked their way up, and you know, are the people that we trust in those situations. So
yeah, I think part of me does think it's a shame, you know, that they've introduced this, because, you know, there are some people out there that want to go out, do it on their own, carry their own stuff. I mean, obviously you can still carry your own stuff if you want to, but I just feel it's taken that trip away from those people by them now having to almost,
I think,
organize it. You know, they wanted to organize everything themselves. They wanted to do everything themselves. They wanted that, you know, I don't know where I'm staying tonight. I'm going to turn up at Namche and find a bed in a tea house, where, you know, whereas we know exactly where we're staying. All our beds are booked already. You know, everything's organized. You know, there are some people out there that want to pack a bag and go walk in the trail and not have anything planned. That's now been taken away from them in effect. And I kind of understand why the Nepalese government have done it. They're saying it's from a safety perspective. Part of me wonders if it's a little bit for employment as well, in terms of, you know, they're going to be employing more guides. People are going to be spending more money in the economy, etc. I think, if you are on your own and, you go to bed at night and you suddenly start feeling really bad, how do you get evacuated off the mountain? How do you get evacuated off? How do you sort all that out if you haven't got anyone there to if you're unsupported? So I kind of get it from a safety aspect as well. They're saying it's all from a safety aspect. I think part of it is from an economy employment perspective as well. But, obviously, like we said, it doesn't really affect us in terms of how we run our trips, because we've always used local guides and local providers. So it makes no difference to us. The only people it does really make a difference to are those people who have Everest Base Camp on their bucket list or Annapurna Circuit Trek, or any of the other, Gokyo Lakes, any of the treks that go through a Nepalese national park. Now they are going to have to be escorted either by a porter or a guide.
Yeah, no, exactly. What you just said were all of the thoughts that I had when I first heard about it. I think on the one hand, it's going to boost the economy. It's going to employ more people. That money is going to be going directly back into those communities and those families. And, after a tough couple of years with COVID and, the earthquake, 2015, that some places are still recovering from, that is much needed. But yeah, on the other hand, although it doesn't have a direct impact on us, there will be a few people out there who maybe do the PCT or the Appalachian Trail, hiking around Mont Blanc, and they'll do all of those long distance hikes unsupported on their own. And I think, they'll be the people who are affected. Safety massively came into it. Whose responsibility is that if you're hiking alone in Nepal and you get ill and you get sick or something happens? Is it, if you're staying in a tea house, is it their responsibility? Is it your responsibility? I think now that you have to have a guide, there's a little bit of a safety net. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a real interesting one. And obviously, like I said, it has no effect on us, apart from maybe there are a few people now who were anticipating going and doing it on their own, and now they're going to have to book through an organization. So, in some respects, it's good for us. But then I also do wonder then whether or not, there's that part that goes, well, actually, those people who want to do it on their own, are they then not going to bother doing it anymore because they don't want to do it with somebody else? Are they going to go somewhere else in the world and do something where they can be solo, unsupported, and do it their own way?
I think it would be a real shame if anyone, was thinking of doing it on their own and unsupported. I think it would be a real shame not to do it at all, because there's so much that you would miss out on. It's an incredible country. It's an incredible part of the world. It's beautiful for hiking. So I would still recommend getting out and doing it. But for some people, having that freedom to be totally alone in places like that will outweigh it. But like you said at the beginning, although we are a guided company and you can go with a group, there's nothing stopping them from just employing one more guide, and just them being them and a guide, and the two of them trekking through. So that might be the compromise for those.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, guys, that basically brings you up to speed on what happened within the last week or so with the announcement from the Nepalese government that you can no longer trek in Nepal unsupported, that you do need to have a guide there. Obviously, we've got all of our treks in Nepal. They are supported by, as well as us leading the trips, we've also got our local team there as well. So we kind of tick all the boxes. So if you are thinking of Everest Base Camp, the Annapurna Circuit, Gokyo Lakes, any of the treks in Nepal, then head over to our website and have a look. And I'll put a link to the website, and I'll put a link to all of those trips into the show notes. Like I said, it was only going to be a short episode this week because we just wanted to quickly cover off that topic. And we're recording this episode the week that we are heading to the National Outdoor Exhibition in Birmingham at the NEC. So we'll be up there, and we've got a stand up there this weekend. which is March the 17th, 16th, 17th. So we'll be up there. So if you are listening to this on, no more, is it the 16th, 17th? 17th, 18th, 19th, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're
19th.
Traveling up on the 17th, and then it's the 18th, 19th.
That's right. So we'll be heading up on, so we'll be there on the 18th, 19th. The show is on Saturday and Sunday. So if you are listening to this before that and you're quite close to Birmingham and you've got a bit of a loose end, then both Jake and I and a few of the other leader team will be up at the show, happy to chat to you, not only about Everest Base Camp, but all of our other trips as well. So we will be about. So anyway, thanks ever so much for tuning in this week and having a listen. It's been quite a short one, but you can go and listen to another podcast now or carry on with your day. And we will be back to have a chat next week. So until then, thanks very much. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bucketlister Podcast. Be sure to click follow to be alerted for next week's episode. For more travel inspiration, check us out at www.thebucketlistcompany.co.uk or follow us on socials. See you next time.